Hey booktubers, I have my thoughts on I Am Number 4 by Pittacus lore. And I really don't really like doing book reviews, or I don't know, because I never really know exactly how much to say about them. We'll go that way. I suppose many of you have seen this. I've shown it before on my haul, I think. This is the actual hardcover with the really neat design there. I like that. But in any case, yes, so like these are my bookmarks, the magazine things, right? So, this is a story about a world really that was attacked by these beings called Mogadorians. The world is called Lorien, thus the Lorien legacies. And on this planet, with these, they were attacked. The Lorians were attacked by surprise. They had mentioned something about fireworks and things like that. People thought they were some type of a celebration. And what actually was happening, I assuming, was bombs and things being destroyed. So this was just a big surprise. When that happened, they had like a spaceship built, actually a couple of them. One was an older model, and they had this newer model built. And I don't remember exactly why they had it built, but in any case, they were able to get 9 young children, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this correctly, but I'm going to try. I think it's a Cephan. It's Cephan. It could be a Cephan or a Cephan. And the Cephans are people from Lorien who do not have powers or what they call legacies. But they are trainers. So they know a lot about all of the legacies. They're kind of like, almost like, I guess trainers is the best word, kind of wise people. They help these children develop their legacies. So what the Lorians decide to do very quickly here is to get these 9 kids off the planet so that their world will survive, or the people on their world will survive the attack. I guess the Mogadorians completely and utterly destroyed the life on the planet. However, the inside of the planet, what they said is the core of the planet, is still alive, and there's ways they know this, and you read about that in the book. And this is the core of the planet, is where all the legacies or powers come from for some of the inhabitants of the planet. So you have people who have legacies and people who do not. It's just kind of a different world, of course. So what they do is they know about Earth, and they've been watching Earth for a very long time. And they decide to, in these spaceships, come to Earth. There was one that took off with the kids, and the main character had dreams about another. He can see visions and things about what happened. This is how you learn about it. So obviously you're in first person. So you have to rely on visions and what other people tell you about what happens. So he's had visions of all these things happening on Lorien. He was like 4 years old when they took off and came to Earth, and he's now like 14, 15 years old as the book starts here. So anyway, they come to Earth, and he is with the 9 kids. They split up and separate. Now, when the kids are very young, they do not have their powers. Their powers start manifesting within them, I would say, somewhere around puberty. So around 14, 15, and 16, they start getting these powers. And they can have multiple powers. It's not just one. One of them is their major power, and their major power doesn't develop until the last one. So they'll get, all these secondary powers will start coming in, and the major power comes last. So anyway, this book is, in essence, talking about the first 3 are killed. The Mogadorians follow them to Earth. And the reason is, of course, is that they've utterly destroyed Lorien. So now they're looking at Earth and thinking that this would be a planet that they could also basically get all the resources and basically suck the life out of the planet. So, of course, these Lorians, with the special powers and all this, once they get of a certain age, will be able to protect and help the Earth from this attack, because they understand what the Mogadorians want, obviously from what they what they experienced on Lorien. So Henry is the Siphon for John. Now these people change their names because they move about all the time. At least these two do. So we have John and we have Henry, who is his Siphon or his trainer. And they have been moving from place to place to place to place throughout all of the time that they have landed up through now in John's 15th year. So they finally arrive. The book really starts taking off when they arrive into Paradise, Ohio. And this is where he meets Sarah. Sarah will be his love interest. And there's a lot of things going on between them about this. And of course, he doesn't tell anybody about who he is or what he is. But his legacies are now starting to develop. And I'm not sure I'm going to tell you what the legacies are at this point. But obviously, they're one of the most interesting parts of the whole story. So I'm going to leave that off. But his legacies start to develop, of course, while he's in school. So there's a whole interesting part about that and how he decides to hide some of it and all that. It's kind of fun. And then there's another character. His name is Sam, and he is kind of the like the loner kid. I don't want to say necessarily the geek, but maybe a little bit of the geek. He's real skinny, and people make fun of him and things like that and pick on him. But him and John become very good friends, and he is going to be one of the main characters throughout the book. So basically we have Henry, Sarah, who is the love interest, then we have Sam. Another person who shows up fairly early in the book is Mark, and Mark is Sarah's ex-boyfriend, the football jock and all this stuff. So you've got all this bullying going on, and there's fights and jealousy between Mark and John because they both like Sarah, and Sarah's paying attention to John, of course, because she can't stand Mark anymore. But that all changes too eventually, and I'm not going to tell you anything about that. So these are so hard to do because I don't want to give away a lot of the story, but so eventually what happens is the Mogadorians, I think as you can assume, they find John. They have already found the first three. They have to kill the Lorians, the children, in order. It's like a charm that they put on them. A charm is the best thing. That's what they called it, a charm. So the Lorians put a charm on the 9 kids, where they can only be killed in order, and which makes it tougher for the Mogadorians, of course, because they've got to figure out who's number 1, who's number 2, and all this stuff. And the very beginning of the book is where the third Lorien is killed. Now each child Lorien who has the legacies has a ring around around the ankle area of their leg. So when one of them is killed, the ring forms on all the others, and it's burned in like a tattoo. So when the third one was killed, they did mention that John knew about it, obviously, because this ring burned into his leg. I guess it's very painful. And so he knew that he was next, because he was number 4. And so they're coming after him, and they do. This book is really not too sci-fi. I've heard a couple people say that they're not interested because it's sci-fi. It really is not very much sci-fi at all. The Mogadorians are like a demon-type creatures. very dark, sinister, sadistic. And so they're more, if you think of them like demons or beasts of some sort, then they're not real. It's not really a sci-fi story, even just because these people come from another world. Everything's happening on Earth. So anyway, I'm sure there's going to be more books in this series. It probably says so somewhere. I'm not sure, because the way that the book ended, you just knew more was coming on. There's a lot of questions that haven't been answered yet, and I will give one spoiler away. They find one other legacy kid. Of course, they're no longer kids anymore. So one other one does show up in the book, but I'm not going to tell you anything about that. So you'll have to read the book for yourself. So I hope you enjoyed my little kind of review or thoughts about this book. I tried to give you like just the beginnings of it, because if you keep going, then of course you're giving things away. Oh, I wanted to mention what I'm going to read next. I'm still on The Count of Monte Cristo. Volume 2 is my classic. I kind of finished up I Am Number 4, because I wanted to get that done, because it was just really interesting. I'm not saying The Count of Monte Cristo isn't interesting, but you know how these books are, you guys. They grab your attention, and you just like have to plow through it. So I've been kind of neglecting The Count. So I'm going to be reading The Count for the next couple days to just put some more dents into that big thick one. And I haven't decided what I'm going to read next yet. I got a lot of thoughts in my mind, but I'm thinking about going to an adult novel, maybe a Kate Morton or something like that. So, okay, bye.